US President Donald Trump has doubled down on his hardline trade stand, declaring that no country, especially China, would be spared from his sweeping tariffs.
The Chinese government has asked its carriers to stop taking delivery of Boeing aircraft in the meantime, and this extends to aircraft-related equipment and parts from US companies.
The world is engulfed in a crisis that at first glance may seem like just a continuation of the trade war between the United States and China. But dig a little deeper, and it becomes clear that this is the beginning of a global reset of the entire international trade system. According to reports from several American and Asian media outlets, the Chinese government has ordered its airlines and supplier companies to immediately suspend the receipt of Boeing aircraft, as well as components and equipment made in the United States. On the surface, this appears to be just another move in the ongoing trade standoff between Beijing and Washington. But in reality, it signals that China is beginning to reassess not only its economic, but also its strategic dependencies. Across the ocean, in the United States, Treasury Secretary Scott Bassen has hinted at a possible major trade deal that could be reached with China in the future. Yet, at the same time, President Donald Trump publicly declares that no country, especially China, will be spared from his sweeping tariffs. This conflicting rhetoric points to one thing. There is no unified policy direction within the White House. They're negotiating. And while they negotiate, the markets panic. Trade tensions between the world's two largest economies are once again reaching a boiling point. American retailers are canceling Chinese orders en masse. Containers are piling up at Chinese ports. Shipments are being disrupted, and global supply chains are teetering on the edge of the paralysis. Some analysts are already calling this a new frontier in economic history. But what exactly is happening, and what's behind the wave of order cancellations and the container buildup? According to leaked reports from official sources, the United States is imposing new tariffs on Chinese goods, especially in the defense and high-tech sectors. This isn't just a blow to electronics or pharmaceuticals, it's strategic pressure. The new tariffs make importing goods from China nearly unprofitable, especially for large chains like Walmart or Amazon. So, how is China responding? Beijing's answer is to reject discounts and concessions. According to Chinese factories and logistics firms, American buyers are demanding lower prices on goods already paid for or ordered, but the Chinese side is refusing to comply. This isn't out of stubbornness. It's an effort to preserve profit margins in the face of rising costs for raw materials, labor, and shipping. In essence, both sides are backing each other into a corner. Amid all this, a true logistical catastrophe is unfolding. Empty or canceled containers are sitting idle for weeks at ports. Freight rates are falling. Port operators are taking losses. And ordinary consumers face price hikes, especially in categories like home appliances, clothing, and electronics. This is not just a game of big numbers, it's a hit to your wallet. When a retail chain moves production to a country with higher manufacturing costs, it's logical to expect price increases. And when prices rise, demand falls. When demand falls, supply chains shrink, and the cycle starts all over again. This is the economic feedback loop now engulfing global trade. Companies like Amazon will be among the hardest hit. Chinese sellers used to dominate this platform. Their low-cost products drove huge sales volumes and revenue for Amazon. Now, due to tariffs, Chinese sellers are either significantly raising prices or leaving the U.S. market altogether. In plain terms, less competition, higher prices, worse for the consumer. So, how are the Chinese responding? Some are trying to bypass tariffs, undervaluing export goods, altering labeling or routing shipments through third countries. These schemes are semi-legal or outright illegal, but viewed as necessary measures. However, U.S. Customs has already increased inspections, and each exposure brings fines, seizures, and destruction of goods. Amid this, American authorities continue to talk about bringing manufacturing home. The White House declares the need to strengthen national industry and rebuild logistics. It sounds ambitious, but expensive. Bringing production back to the United States means dealing with wage issues, labor shortages, and high raw material costs. Even under the most favorable conditions, this process will take from 5 to 10 years. In the meantime, consumers will pay more and businesses will lose profits. The question is, will China benefit from this? At first glance, it's losing a market. Containers sit idle, orders are canceled. But China is not just the world's factory. It is 1.4 billion people of internal demand. It has BRICS partners, Southeast Asia, Africa. The Chinese are actively expanding exports to alternative markets, and importantly, they are boosting domestic consumption. Moreover, China holds another powerful lever: exports of rare earth elements. These materials are critical for producing microchips, electronics, and military equipment. If China imposes restrictions on their export, the U.S. will find itself in a position of critical dependency. The same applies to sectors where China has no rivals: pharmaceuticals, solar panels, and batteries. What is happening right now is not just a trade skirmish. It is a reformatting of the global economy. Europe, Asia, Africa, they're all watching this battle, and they're drawing conclusions. Many countries are already building regional supply chains, reducing their dependence on superpowers. This could lead to the decentralization of global trade. As a result, the global market may become less efficient, but more politicized. According to some experts, the escalation will continue. New tariffs on semiconductors and pharmaceutical raw materials are already being discussed. This would hit sectors such as automotive, healthcare, and IT. The world is bracing for a new wave of inflation, and this inflation has political origins. In this situation, everyone is waiting. What will Amazon, Walmart, Apple say? Rumors suggest they're already investing in alternative markets: Vietnam, India, Malaysia. But shifting logistics is not like moving into the office next door. It takes years and billions. And again, during all this time, higher prices, reduced variety, declining quality. Share your opinion. Is this a temporary storm? Or are we witnessing a permanent rupture between two giants? Can the United States give up Chinese imports and still maintain a consumer-driven economy? Can China sustain itself without access to American markets and investment? And most importantly, will this trade war pull the rest of the world into its orbit? Containers are sitting in ports. Orders are being canceled. Supply lines are collapsing. This is not a metaphor. This is the reality of the new world. Write in the comments how you assess what's happening. And don't forget, when politicians play the tariff game, we are the ones who pay the price.